Picture this. You wake up one morning and an entire community of 115 men, women, and children has just vanished, literally overnight. No warning, zero signs of a battle, and absolutely no evacuation notice left behind. Just empty space and an incredibly eerie silence. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking what is easily one of the most chilling historical events we have on record.
So where on earth did everybody go? This one terrifying question is really the beating heart of the Roanoke settlement mystery back in the late 1500s. I mean, sure, stories of missing individuals pop up throughout history, but an entire colony? Gone? Imagine the sheer confusion. We're talking no bodies, no obvious signs of a struggle, just total emptiness right where a bustling community used to be.
Okay, let's set the scene. Late 1500s. English settlers establish a colony on Roanoke Island. That's in modern-day North Carolina. But right out of the gate, they are struggling big time with basic supplies. It gets so bad that their governor, a guy named John White, basically has to sail all the way back to England just to get help and provisions. But here's the kicker. His quick trip across the Atlantic hits a massive historical roadblock. The Anglo-Spanish War breaks out, and Queen Elizabeth orders literally every available ship to fight the Spanish Armada. So what was supposed to be a quick turnaround, it turned into 3 agonizing years before White could finally make his way back. So, when Governor White finally steps foot back onto Roanoke, 3 long years later, he's totally expecting a warm reunion, right? But instead, he's met with a shocking reality. No colonists. Not a single person waiting on the shore to greet the supply ship. He walks into the settlement, and it is literal ghost town. But wait, here is the absolutely fascinating detail about all this. The houses weren't destroyed or burned down. They were carefully, systematically taken down. This definitely wasn't some kind of panicked run-for-your-lives evacuation. It was a highly coordinated, meticulously planned departure. And amidst all that eerie silence, White and the investigators discover a single, absolutely baffling piece of evidence. Just one strange clue left behind in this pristine ghost town. Now, to really grasp why this clue is such a big deal, we have to rewind a bit and look at an agreement the settlers made before Governor White ever left for England.
You see, before leaving, White and the colonists had set up this brilliant little failsafe. It was a clear-cut signal system. The plan was simple. If the settlers had to relocate, they'd carve their destination into a tree. But, and this is absolutely crucial, if they were in danger or forced to leave under duress, they were supposed to carve a very specific symbol, a Maltese cross, which leads us right to what White actually found. So instead of finding journals or hastily written notes explaining the situation, they find just one single cryptic word carved deep into a wooden post, Croatoan. But you know what the most chilling part is? There was no Maltese cross. None. So whatever went down, they apparently didn't leave in a state of sudden panic or distress.
Naturally, we have to ask ourselves, was it a message? Did this carving literally mean the settlers packed up and purposefully headed toward Croatoan Island? Were they planning to interact with or maybe even join the local indigenous communities there? Or did they scatter somewhere else entirely and just leave this as a sort of partial breadcrumb? I mean, historians have been debating this exact question for centuries, desperately trying to decode the real intent behind those letters. That single word essentially leaves historians impartially weighing a whole suspect list of theories, all based on incredibly limited evidence. Did they just relocate to find food? Did they successfully integrate with those nearby communities? Or, looking at the darker side of things, were they wiped out by violent conflict, a devastating outbreak of disease, or maybe unforeseen environmental problems, like a brutally harsh winter?
But here's the major problem with all of those theories. None of them actually answer the most fundamental question of all. Why would an entire settlement disappear without a single definitive trace? Think about it. If it was a massive disease outbreak or some terrible massacre, where's the physical evidence? There were 0 bones found, no mass graves, nothing. Where did every single colonist go? And why did the entire settlement just vanish so completely?
So what if we've been looking at this mystery completely wrong the whole time? We always tend to picture a village mysteriously vanishing into thin air, kind of like a magic trick. But what if we view it as a completely pragmatic, practical choice? Facing starvation in an incredibly harsh environment, what if they simply packed up their stuff and chose to disappear into the local landscape just to survive?
Now, this twist completely changes the mystery. It suggests that if they relocated and joined other communities, well, their separate, distinct English identity may have faded away over the years. But the human beings themselves, they actually lived on. In fact, Modern DNA testing and the incredibly rich oral histories of local indigenous tribes, like the Lumbee and Hatteras, strongly support this very idea. It literally transforms this whole historical event from a story of some sudden dark catastrophe into an amazing story of adaptation and survival.
As we wrap up this explainer on one of early America's absolute greatest puzzles, I want to leave you with this to chew on. Did the Roanoke colonists face a sudden, terrible disaster, or did they simply walk away into the fog to build a brand new life? Weigh the evidence for yourself and tell us, what do you think actually happened to the lost colony?